Not to sound overly dramatic, but this is probably the best build you'll ever play. Probably just delete the game after you finish a playthrough with this, because let's be honest, nothing else will compare. What's up everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood French Canadian, and today I'll show you how to make a Blood Reaper build. This is a very endgame build, super great for New Game Plus as well. My character is level 165 here, so the stats distribution are as follows. I have 40 Vigor, 30 Mind, 25 Endurance, 14 Strength, 60 Dexterity, 16 Intelligence, 14 Faith, and 50 Arcane. Now this is a astrologer character, so that's why the intelligence is so high, but you don't want to put any points in this. The strength being at 14 is only for the Scythe we'll be using. It requires 14 strength and 14 dexterity, but we have a lot of points in dexterity anyways. The Arcane, again, is going to be for the blood damage because our Scythe will have a blood affinity on it. Now you want to prioritize dexterity over Arcane because you'll be doing more damage the more points there are in dexterity than Arcane, but you still need a lot of points in Arcane to be able to do a lot of damage with the blood incantations as well as the blood infinity on our weapon with every strike. Now endurance, mind, vigor is really up to you, but you want a lot of mind. Even though these incantations don't take a lot of FP, you still want like a good pool of FP to be able to fight. As for the weapon, we'll be using the Scythe. You can find this Scythe in the cliff bottom catacombs. Again, I'll show you where to go. It's a pretty easy catacomb to go through. There's not a lot to do, but there is a lot of imps and they're really annoying. Now I chose that one because it has beast scaling with dex or bleed, while as the other ones really don't. Now there are other two Scythes we could use, but there are faith weapons and you can't choose the Ash of War, and because we're going for a bleed build, then it really wouldn't be good for this build. What I really love about the Scythe, even though it's slow, it can actually stance break enemies if you hold the R2 and you charge it up completely. And not only that, it'll proc blood loss because when it's fully leveled up, you will have 135 blood loss on this weapon. So 2 hits and they're done for. Now the seal we'll be using is the Dragon Communion seal, and I know what you're thinking, we're not using Dragon Incantations, why use it? Because it scales S in Arcane, and because we have high points in Arcane, it's better to use that than to actually use Faith, because if we use Faith, then we'll need Faith and Arcane and Dexterity as well, so our points will be way too spread out. So this seal is really the one you want to go for. You can get it in the Fringe Folk Heroes Grave, which is right by the Stranded Graveyard Site of Grace. I won't show you exactly where to get it. I did show it in a previous video if you're unsure, so I'll link it so you guys can go see the exact location. Now for the blood incantations. Blood Boon is going to be the main one that we use, and you can get it once you defeat the real Mog at the palace. So you can take the portal that is located in the consecrated snowfields to portal you there, or you can do White Mask's questline, which also will get you to that area. And I love that incantation is so good. You can move around the entire time while you're casting it. It does a dot damage when enemies are standing in it, and it's really great on groups of enemies, especially if you combine it with the Ash of War we'll be using. Now, your Blood Flame Talons is also another one we can use. It's not one of the best ones, but it's pretty good for up close damage. It's also a pretty quick cast. Now, the last one we'll be using specifically for this build, of course you can add other things since we'll have a bit of faith, but the last one we'll be using, which is extremely important for this build, is the Swarm of Flies, which is located again the same area where you can fight the Mog. I will show you exactly where to go. It's pretty easy, you don't need to fight enemies, you just need to know where it is because it's pretty well hidden in a small cave. Now this incantation is so freaking good. It's going to help you proc blood loss, and if you do it at the start of a fight and then you hit your Ash of War, it's like instant proc. It is so freaking good. Now I've been talking up this Ash of War and I didn't even mention it by name, but it's the Phantom Scythe Ash of War. You get this Ash of War by killing the Knight's Cavalry that is located in the Forbidden Lands. You can get to this area after you've defeated Morgoth, aka Margit, then you'll be able to go to that area. Now make sure that it's nighttime and you'll find him. It's really easy to spot. It does a frick ton of damage without any buffs, and it's 2 hits. So the phantom hits first, and then your hit is also a bit delayed. And you both will advance forward pretty far. But sometimes it'll miss. It is a bit weird in the sense that sometimes your phantom will miss, sometimes you will miss, sometimes the enemy will move and it'll cause you both to miss. So it takes a bit of getting used to, but honestly I think it's a really solid Ash of War. And the awesome thing about this Ash of War is that you can actually choose the blood affinity for it, instead of having to choose keen or quality or heavy. So this will increase your blood loss damage, or the rate at which you can proc blood loss while using your Scythe to attack enemies. Now for the talismans, I am sure you saw this coming, but we'll be using Blood Exaltation. Now this talisman can be found in the Subterranean Shunning Grounds. You have to beat a boss, and I'll show you exactly where to go. It's pretty easy once you know, but if you don't, it's pretty well hidden under there. And basically this will make you do more damage once you proc blood loss once. So after that, your damage will be increased for its entire duration. So if you continue to proc blood loss, then the buff will continuously be applied to your character. The second one we'll be using is the Radagon icon, which shortens your casting time. So that's going to be pretty good for us, especially for the Blood Boon incant, which we'll be using a lot. So make your way to the Raya Lucaria Academy in Liurnia of the Lakes. Take the Parlor Site of Grace, and once you get out of that room, take a right away, and then go over the ledge. You'll go through some broken windows, and the talisman will be in a chest up there. It's pretty easy to find. The last two we'll be using is the Flock Talisman and Millicent's Prosthesis. And the way you can get both of these in one playthrough is pretty easy. So you help her kill her sisters, that will give you the Rotten Winged Talisman. But that's not the one we need. But if you want the Flock Talisman, then you have to go to Gowry again, exhaust his dialogue, and then kill him and he will drop it. And now after this, you can actually meet her again near the Erdtree Grazing Hill Site of Grace. That's where you can talk to her some more, and then you can kill her, defeat her, you will get her Prosthesis Talisman. Now I saw someone posting about this, so I haven't tested it myself yet, so let me know if it does work or not, or if you've tried this before. Now I love this one because it's a better dexterity talisman than the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia in my opinion, because it gives you +5 dexterity and it has the same effect. As you hit enemies, your damage will increase. That should be everything, everyone. I hope you have fun with this build, and it takes a bit of getting used to, especially with how slow the Scythe feels if you're not used to it, but honestly, you will destroy any freaking boss even on New Game Plus. I ran through like 4 of them for this video just to get footage, and it took me like 10 minutes. It was a bit ridiculous. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you want more Elden Ring content, there is plenty more on my channel. So have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you all very soon.